we're there. Okay. This one's always a tough one. They want you to start the Facebook now, and then I don't know. Oh my goodness. All right, thanks for bearing with. We got to do Meta Studio? I don't know. I just wanted to get on here and start streaming before 1 o'clock was over. And then we're going to do go live. And we're going to go live. Is this going to work? I think we know what this is about. Bob Ross Paint Part 3. Description. And let's hit it. So that should do that. And then we're gonna okay, Facebook. We're live. Let's hit it. Okay, so we got our platforms. Our platforms are streaming. Let me know if they're not. We are gonna get into the next level here. Oops, I want this to be screen mode full. Now, as part of my experiment here, what I'm trying to do is figure out if my time lapse will be interesting if I paint the hand here in the time lapse. So let's make some happy accidents. Okay. First step, as always, go make sure we're still fine. And then, let the games begin. So, step 1, make sure we're on our paint layer. Step 2, pretty easy stuff here to start with. Grab a dark brush and find our edge. I mean, the number of times we've seen this guy use that brush to sort of just blend those little clouds and whisk the skies away. Okay. Let's take another. Now, Bob would probably go in the direction of the brush. It's not really how I paint. Anyway, we'll see. Let's see how this brush works out. let's put in a soft value for the hand. Okay. We've got the thumb over here. Pretty light value. Pop it in. Now, this is the first time we painted hands really since... Who was the last hand we did? I can't even remember. Oh, there was like a hint of a hand on Andrea Canning. So we're going to get our shadow edge, lay it in. We're going to get our nail color. So I had a little bit of a rest during our hour break, and I'm feeling tired. I don't know if that's allergies or what that is, but I feel slightly under 80%. But let's move on. We'll just keep it rolling. Okay. There's our pointer finger. There's our shadow. Find something like this. This is like the neighborhood of the upset dogs. Every time. All right. That looks like a white to me, but I could be wrong. No? Yeah. So we're going to zoom into this sort of level. And we'll find out. So here, you see this, and then this sort of... there are no shadows on this hand. This is going to be tricky. But we'll take what we can get. So there's a little half tone here. Okay, there's no shadows really on the whole portrait. So it's a studio lit photo. Here's a bit of a shadow that I graciously allowed myself to have a little paint by number box there. Let's do that. Let's find out if this one thing I'm trying to do is get more confident with my brush strokes and less reliant on sort of smearing and shaping the paint after it's down. I'd like to just put a flat brush stroke down and just leave it. I'm like, it's time to do that sort of growing as a painter. I'm often very afraid to leave sharp brush strokes because the way I was taught was you lay down a brush stroke, fine, but don't leave these kind of artsy fartsy brush strokes blur the edges. And that's such a, I mean, looking back now, it dawns on me, I guess it has been dawning for many years, that what you blur and what you soften, like as a painting student, I often took that to be sort of like blur everything, and that really wasn't what was being taught. It was just that blur everything is kind of the easiest, because then you don't need to make decisions about what remains blurred and what remains. So here I am in my 40s now, trying to relearn what blurring the edges really means and what can be done. So let's put that little thing there. We can get some Let's carve in here with a little shadow. We know where the end of that brush handle is. And we've got a lovely streak of a highlight here. Plop that in. Something like that. All right, so bear with me here. Again, we're building up the forms the best we can without a shadow. There's no shadow to be spoken of here. Yet our eye needs something to kind of grab onto to make these forms turn. Now, I don't know. Is that? All right, great news here. We've got a little window into the Canadian tuxedo, as my friend Slacker referred to this get up that Bob's got today. Whoops. All right, well, let's zoom on out and see. I think we're gonna see over time that I don't know. I'm gonna just quiet down until I get back into the zone here. Maybe it's my head is a little hurty. I don't know. Let's circular brush stroke for the button on that Canadian tuxedo. And let's round the shadow edge. Pardon me. Bring that shadow edge up and around. And did I just get the wrong layer? No. Oh boy. So, yes, hard work. Yes, we can complain, or we can just allow ourselves to fall into the seductive grasp of hunting for shapes. Here we go. Here's a nice little highlight that we, as you know, a brush that has been covered with paint is dulled, and our ability to really see the forms on that brush are the ability to see the forms is diminished. But we can find them. Oh boy. Oh. Scritchy scratchy. Boop, boop, boop. There's a dark value that lives at the base of the ferrule of the brush. Ferrule, for those who don't know, is the metal fastening that houses the hairs of a brush. In this case, it looks like a 2-inch bristle, or is it maybe a 3-inch bristle? I don't know. I'm not. I'm just like sort of going off what Bobo says, because he often gets, he loves his equipment. Van Dyke Brown, etc. All right. But at the end, dark. So we'll hit a taking deep breaths to try to get past this lunch coma. I don't know, it's not really that. I'm just generally a little wiped out. Here's another paint by numbers shadow. Paint by number. Da-da-da. See? All right, so what else is new? What's any new programs on television that the kids are watching these days? I always go for the true crime stuff, but I also have this new channel called Shudder, which I'm trying out. As in shudder, like, ooh, when you see something scary, gives you the shivers, right? Oh boy. We're really finding these moments within the anatomy. Little shadow patterns that arrive. Let's see, how are we doing? And make our way toward just piecing in things. I know this is probably not going to be the most popular installation of my stream series here. You know, we don't get to see that joyful mug, and it's flat light. There's not a lot of drama in this hand, but I think we can do it. We can make things happen. You can grow ideas in the garden of your mind. Did you ever do that thing in the garden of your mind? Speaking of gardens, I have a pepper plant growing in a hydroponic garden in my kitchen. And I'm kind of done with it. I mean, it's definitely not done with it, but I'm done with peppers. Like, I don't think there's any more peppers to be grown in that particular plant, so I'm going to retire it. And then I think what I'm going to do is either grow some marijuana, probably not, but it's an option. At least in my state, we are allowed to have a few mature plants. I'm not a user of said. I'm not a cannabis user, but the reason I want to grow it is because it's just a valuable crop as opposed to, I don't know, like basil's valuable too. So in the running, it's like basil, or basil, as the British say. That's one idea. The other is, now hold on. So here's an example. I don't have a paint by number block. But I do know that this basically comes this way. See that? And then So anyway, I'm trying to decide what crop. Peppers provide a lot of bang for your buck if you're growing plants in a narrow garden. Okay. Let's find our... Whoops. That was an unhappy accident. Oh boy. But peppers were just sort of getting boring. I grew a lot of peppers. Nobody ate them. So, I mean, I ate one or two of them, but not a lot considering how many were grown. Now, let's look at this knuckle. See this? I want to see how that works. We're going to put in some You can grow ideas. In the garden of your mind. And there's a little shadow edge living above this dark edge. I never quite got to this place in this. I mean, I've painted this image before, actually. Years ago. Maybe mid-pandemic. I don't know. Can't really remember. But it's on my Instagram if you want to check out. But it was the head, just the head. I didn't do anything else. And I never quite felt that I mean, you can look at the painting and see that I didn't finish it. I left things very brushy. So, okay. Squinting down, we're going to find our shadow edge. Not our shadow edge, but like just the basic idea of where things right? How does this connect to this? The knuckle bone connects to the whatever bone. Never been an anatomist. So it just goes to show how, I don't know, how, just what does it go to show? It shows how tricky the hands can be. And just the more you fill in the kind of paint by numbers elements, the more you can see what's going on. Let's get this hand. Happy accidents. And let's double check our screen here. Yes. Oh boy. Painting Bob Ross, Part 3. Hold on. I'll be right back. Let me grab a little swizzle here. I eat the same breakfast every day, but today I did not, and I think I'm suffering because of it. So we'll just suffer through. We really don't want this to start looking like some kind of, I don't even know what it's starting to look like, but I don't want it to do that. Whatever it is, I don't like it. Pardon me. Let's find our darkest dark. At least of this moment, this little passageway here. I'm going to pull that through. Okay. Oh, wow. Now, we're going to find some blues. We're going to find some oranges for this handle here. We're going to find a more deep, that golden brown. Let's find out. Ooh, there's probably one of the darker darks in this whole image. And look, from our distance, we start to see things kind of tapping into place. So, and where better to find that than here? Let's find our something like that. about blurring that edge down. And then blurring this middle value through. Not quite blurred enough. Now, here's another shadow edge. See how that kind of folds through here. Painting the hand from a distance is probably a wise idea at this stage. And the reason for that is I just want to kind of map it in right now. Again, I'm feeling tired and I don't want to, I'm just not really able to do the kind of analysis of little small shapes and things. So I'm just going to blend and blur. Put in a little brush stroke here. Okay. And then find our little pathway here that makes its way from no, too dark, too bright. Look what I did there. We can knock it down. Come on, let's knock it in. There we go. Really, this is all about just putting not layered, but brush strokes. Finding how that brush stroke sits. Oh boy. You can grow ideas. I'm going to just be seeing that until we finally paint. And Fred Rogers. Fred Rogers, he's coming. He's going to be next. Maybe. I mean, once we started this Channel 13 train, it don't stop. This train don't stop. So if you've ever done a paint by numbers, by the way, I have not. It's kind of like a coloring book. You know where the lines are. And here I know I put in some lines for myself, but mostly I'm mostly when it comes to transitions and things, I'm on the hook for knowing where those things begin and when they end and how the light passes from one transition like this to the next. I'm on the hook. Now Nice. How about this wrist here? How about the edge here? How about, it's just kind of finding things you haven't done or that you're avoiding doing. Got a rumble in the old belly today. Okay. So we've got about 45 minutes. I'm sorry, we're about 45 minutes in to this session. Interesting. So there's a nice highlight here, actually, that the way light hits the hand it's very elusive and enigmatic and always changing. Because there's like a flat surface one place, and then there's a shadow that wraps around another place, and so it's as elusive as a wisp of cloud curling back from one of Bob's masterpieces. Okie doke, Bob. What do we got? All right, we're just gonna not the worst exercise when you're looking for extra energy. It kind of you gotta like squint and watch for these patterns of light. See how this little edge, I'm not saying I'm nailing where it is, but it's closer than it was if I just fill in those blanks somewhat. These tendons that kind of wrap and rope their way. And then if we zoom out, we'll sort of see it, taking shape here. Now, let's not get too pleased with ourselves here. We'll take a hog bristle. Now, we're going to paint the hog bristle. Look at this the way the light streaks off of that corner. And we'll feed that in. And lay that onto the... You want to go in the same direction usually that the subject lies. Something like that. Okay. Let's make a little, we can see this, the tip of the index finger, right in the middle of it points this. It's like this. It's like a perfect something like that. I don't want to go too specific yet. I think I've already misrepresented. I'll go like this. Blurring away. Sorry for all the shaking and stuff. I think it's just after the next break, I probably calm down. I'm ready to pass out from tiredness. Not the worst hand I've ever painted. Not that it's done, but... Not the worst hand I've ever painted. Busted. Yep. Refresh that feed to make sure I know what's going on. So... That was probably too dark. So there's our shadow edge. Let's get our shadow. And let's get our a nice shadow here. I'm not in a very economical mind frame, meaning I'm not feeling very clever as far as like, oh, well, this brush stroke could do this and this at the same time. I'm really just sort of hanging on to what we got. And that's okay. I mean, sometimes you have days like that. Let's feed in this kind of color. Little Van Dyke white. But this palette is so great because look at how it's that acrylic palette. It's see-through. And we're going to just use it to draw some lines toward our next subject, which is the hand, part 2. Okay. We got about 5 minutes. I'm going to layer in this. Now that was an aggressive move I just did there. Didn't need to make it quite that crazy. Da-da-da. Okay, there's our dark. We gotta get the jeans going in here. I'm laughing when I think about the chat from the morning session with the Canadian tuxedo. I had not remembered that term. All right, so what am I trying to say here? I think one of the fun things that's going on is just the, I mean, like, well, I'm babbling, but I'm starting to see some fun passages taking shape here. In fact, we're gonna grab we don't know which is the final. Okay. We're going to take our warm middle value that lives down here. Now, I don't know about you, but I think I lost something there. We're going to have to find it again. But these fingers are just... We're going to have to revisit some of this stuff. This is like maybe something a lot like what you would see at the end of that movie, Rosemary's Baby. yeah. So anyway, you've probably seen it. But I feel like the people who hang out in that apartment might have had fingernails like this. No judgment. All right, let's grab something like this purple or whatever. That's sort of a... And just put a stroke there. Because I think what I want to do is begin, again, I say this every session, but I want to try to be loose. And being loose means different things to different people, but to me, it's using a brush stroke to say various things, to say a lot more than I normally might. And so let's say some things. Because we are running out of time for this session. I'm going to want to take a little lie down for a few minutes. Get my energy back up. And that'll be now. So let's put this on ice for now. First session starting soon, and we'll be, let's call it 2 10. I'm going to give myself a slightly longer break. And then we'll be back, okay? So thanks for bearing with. Take a little rest. Hey Google, what time is it?
It's 2:08 p.m.
Hey Google, set a 1 minute timer.
Got it. 1 minute. And that's starting now.
Hey Google, stop the timer.
Sure. Stopping living room Roku.
Hey Google, stop the timer.
Okay, the 1 minute one, which is up now on living room speaker. Cancel.
Well, that was a bit of a scary moment. I lost for a moment. I thought I was going to lose my time lapse again and again. It's always the same. All right, here we go. Get another sip here. Oh boy. All right, good to take a little rest there. And now let's climb back on the horse. Here we go. All right, so we were here. We're going to get back to our hand. There's a song by the band that's now playing in my head a little bit. I think it's called Canadian Driftwood. And I dare say pardon me, the expression Canadian tuxedo got me thinking about that. All right, let's get in here. Hit a thumb, tip of the thumb. How about this one? Mm-hmm. How about this one? about something like that? Holding on tight to your acrylic palette there. Interesting things about hands. I mean, I avoid painting and drawing hands at all costs. So don't ask me about hands, but I will say this. If you look very closely, you can begin to see kind of unlockable doors. And by that I mean maybe it's a halftone or a highlight that kind of is within reach. And if you find it, grab onto it. All right, so meanwhile, maybe to give some context to our hand a bit, we can grab something like this and we'll whoops. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's this British voice on our system, our buzzer here in our building. I certainly hope that's a child pressing the button over and over again. Let's see here. Let's get our highlight. Look at these nice. Here's an example of this kind of puzzle piece that I'm talking about. If you bring yourself over here, oh boy. There's a little highlight that streaks down, and then a highlight on the knuckle kind of bleeds into that as well. So where? Oops. I swear I owned this shirt once. Like, I believe that I found it in a thrift store once. Or no, it wasn't. Sorry, I'm wrong. I have it now. I might go put it on. Certainly tomorrow. I want to take a break for a wardrobe change of the costume change. Do I have that? Yeah. No. Maybe I don't. Okay. Let's get our pull some shadow through. Try to pull a little shadow through here along the bottom edge. Okay. Then we're gonna pull our shadow through here. You're really just, when you're doing this kind of stuff with the hands and the, you really have to go for that abstract eye where you close your eyes and just look for shapes rather than thinking about it as a fingernail or anything else. It's just a shape. And I think somebody was talking about that here. Isn't it true that you're supposed to look at things as though they are just shapes? And yes, that is true. At least that's the way I paint. That's the way I draw. That's the way I learned to see. So, well, is that another mistake? Maybe. Pardon the allergies and other ailments that I'm complaining of. As we get into the autumnal season, lots of things on our mind. Spooky season. Let's grab this. Allergies. Cold and flu season. Now, let's grab our thingy here and find out. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Here's a beautiful highlight here. Sort of sits right there on top of the second knuckle there. And this one can blur in on top of that. Actually, it probably needs to go even more. So here's a little middle value that's happening here. I'll make sure we know where it's going. It's all calligraphic, right? Meaning just little symbolic brush strokes that mean more than the sum of their parts, I guess. Gotta figure that out for sure. I'm definitely overthinking this and everything on this pass. It's sort of too bad, but you can't really change your, like if you're in the zone, that's great. But if you're not, you just have to keep chopping away. And today is not one of those days. Happy accident. It doesn't mean it has to be a lost day or you just don't. I mean, I'm telling myself this more than I am anyone out there, but because my first instinct is, oh, I'm tired, I'm sick, I'm gonna stop. Or I'm not at my best, so why would I do this? I don't want to mess up my painting. Well, yeah. The sooner you learn how to paint under the weather, the better. No, I don't know. Here's our value. Grab this edge. Interesting. See what I did there? And it ain't a good thing. I misread this for a... Did I? Who knows? We got the belly's on full. Yeah, it's tricky, right? We got to get in here and work on this, but we also got to be at a distance where we can see it at the same time. So I thought my shaking and rattling was going to change after the break, but it seems that it will not. Interesting. See what I did? Figure out what that finger is. So really, we're not like, I don't know, desperate to get this perfect, but why not give it the old college try? All right, so you get the basic idea there. We're going to see what happens if and when we, well, we gotta keep going. And let's find out. Get a nice middle value here. Look, we can almost just drag that right down across the palette. And then we can take a value like this and bring that through. You know, because I think what every once in a while I'm like, whoa, boy, if I keep working on that, I'm not going to feel very good about it. You got to give yourself a little holiday. Even Bobby Ross had to go on a holiday from time to time, right? getting the belly of this tuxedo in here. Connecting the dots, so to speak. Finding out what of the palette scene lives here. Let's just go for it. Now, what does he call his yellow again? He's got some funny names for these colors. I'm sure they're all legit. I'm not really a colorist. My palette typically wouldn't have color on it. It would just be the black and white. And instead of a titanium white, it would probably be more like I use a lead-based paint for my white. But that's just me. He's got all these fancy colors here. We got to grab this darkest dark. There we go. I'm going to plug in these, because since we have them, let's use them. You smoke them if you got them. Oh boy. Sorry. Okay. Now the whole thing with all this stuff here is what we're trying to do is gosh, where was I? Something like that, something like that. And he's got this sort of blast of yellow. And we're gonna find out where all these accents live. There's the bottom of the belt buckle. Okay. Let's finish this work on the hands, because I'm staring at it and I'm just like, come on, we gotta fix that. Somebody's gotta paint that thing. So there we have some of it. And there's an accent that's popping up and through. This would be a path. Whoa, no. I did something not so good there. Right, happy accidents. I do have to say about this photo that it's somewhat missing elements of energy and emotion that I typically would like in a reference image. Whoops. But we gotta do what we can. Wow, I'm a little achy. All right, maybe I've got some kind of a bug. I don't think this is... Is that right? Yeah. It's gotta be right. Fill in the blanks here. It's a coloring book. The Bob Ross coloring book. Okay. So, how are we looking? Like every time I look at this thing, I'm just like, oh, isn't it done yet? This hand over here? No, it is not. Evidently, it is not. So, we'll grab a tiny brush, come in with a highlight, zoom out, find out how wrong that was. How wrong? Something like this. At least there's sort of a hint of the thumbprint coming in. Let's zoom out. Take a look. Oh my goodness. Find out what this is up to. All right, let's find out where this streak of red begins and where it ends. Or is there going with the broad brush approach right now? Because I'm getting dizzy zooming in and out of this thing. And that is not good. Doesn't feel great. Here's a yellow splotch that lives right about here. And a yellow little highlight. Just let them dance across the trees there, that little highlight that lives right here. Oh, Bob, you're making things a little more difficult than I thought. Well, no, it's not Bob's fault, but I keep complaining. We're going to get there, right? Let it be. Let it be. And we got our shadow edge that lives right in here. We got a lot of activity here in the old palette zone, and there's not much really to be said about I didn't leave myself a lot of paint by numbers guideposts, and that was somewhat on purpose because I wanted this palette to look exceptionally alive, I guess. And then there's a streak of the red, of the yellow that comes living right across here. I've learned to not worry about my buffering, even though I'm getting this constant warning about buffering. I hope that means nothing. Something like that. I'm going to put this whole mess of yellow paint in here. Look at this nice orange. Something like that. And our highlight color. It's not even a highlight. I'm just losing it at this point. I'm just going mental, as they say. As who says? And we've got our getting into the palette. Gosh, I'm shaking. My leg is tweaking because, and I hope it's not coming across on the screen too much, but I'm shaking trying to get these demons out of me. Maybe it was my speaking ill of the Bob Ross Foundation earlier. I don't know if I was speaking ill about it so much as just even speaking of it at all. That could summon demons. But we'll find out. No, that was make a new layer. I don't like that whenever I see that. Okay, I'm gonna get a little thingamabob there. Oh, Ariandel Art. Hello, long time. What's going on? Welcome. Yeah, I hadn't been streaming for a while. I was sort of off the reservation. Well, that's not really what I mean to say. I was having I just was away from the desk, so I couldn't stream. And now I'm kind of back to it. You haven't missed too much, but you can catch up a little bit, I guess, on the Instagram. It has some of my new time-lapse stuff. I forget what I was working on when we last chatted. Like maybe it was the Hirokatsu Tanaka. But I've been doing some paintings or introducing color and wet brushes and stuff. So here we are. But definitely come on in. Thanks for stopping by. How's your work going? I've been complaining most of this morning about not feeling 100% and thereby not really able to get into the zone, so to speak, but it's all right. I've got to learn how to not give up. Still unemployed. Dude, I hear you. I'm barely holding on to freelance work. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I think things are okay here, but I'm sorry to hear that. Are you, you're looking for work? Any leads? What's your typical, what would your day job be like, if you, like in the past, what have you worked on? Well, I'm 21, so I don't have much past as a worker, but I worked a bit in a convenience store. It was like a hell. So, yeah. Oh, boy. I'm sorry to hear that. But you've been doing quite a bit of your artwork. Is that right? How's that going? Now I'm looking for something else. I don't even dream about job related to art because it's impossible. I don't even dream about jobs related to art. I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah. Well, the closest I've come to a job related to art has been graphic design work, freelance graphic design work. And there's like commercial art stuff that can be done there, but it's not easy to find work. In fact, I've been in a relatively big slump, and that's part of what I've been going around pounding the pavement on Instagram, asking old clients and things if they're looking for any new work. What city are you in? What's that? Oh, cool. All right, I'll check it out. And I swear I got some kind of... I hope my son didn't get whatever I've got right now, because it's like a headache and not feeling so good. And he's in first grade. It's like he doesn't complain. Near Krakow. Cool. Oh, nice. That's cool. I like it. They're not letting me into the... Oh, there, yeah. The colors are great there, too. Ooh, I got... Anyway, that's cool. All job offers require me to have at least 2 to 3 years of experience, which is, well, hard for somebody who finished school. Yeah. No, I get you. Can get the experience, though, because no one wants to let me work. Can't get the experience. Right. It's that catch-22. Do you have any like technical skills of any kind, like computer and stuff, or otherwise non? Not in the technology thing. Oh, I'm coming up on. I got to take a break now. I'm like, I think I need to pop a Tylenol or something. Sheesh. But to be continued. I'm going to put up my famous starting soon sign and put in 3:15. I know, it's a lot, but I'm going to be back in 15 minutes. I got to rest for a bit and take a little Medicina. So, yes, I will be back. If I miss you, sorry about that, and see you next time, I hope. Good luck with everything, but I'll be back in about 15. For nothing special, let me tell you, I was really dumb. I graduated as a photographer, and well, I liked it, but it's useless now. Gotcha. It's good to have photography if you're doing artwork, though. I mean, it's good to know how to do it, but not always for making money. I used to do it, but anyway, see you in a while. Just gonna put on my All right. I think we can. I hope I can get through this one. We got a little ways to go, obviously. Let's do this. Let's do this. Oh. Remove that. Put a lock on it. And then gosh, it's a little overwhelming. But I think we can do this. All right. Let's finish up the palette here, if we can. There's a nice highlight here. See this? No, we don't. All right. Well, here it is. We're gonna and then grab another bit of the highlight. So obviously I went a little overboard with that. Well, no, what happened was that highlight got mushed in with the other colors. So I'll need to hit them again. Let's get in here. Scrub-a-dub-dub. Mm-hmm. Gosh, I'm not well, I've said this about 1,000 times, but I could be feeling a lot more chipper than I am. I'm just kind of barely hanging in there. It's like usually I'll be like, I can flick my eye back and forth and I know where I am and all of that good stuff. But right now I'm like, my eyes are like slow. So this may show up in the time lapse. How not good this one was. Mm-hmm. The good warm tea with lemon and honey will help. Yes, that's exactly. My wife just got home from work and said, "How about some tea?" And I was like, I think I'm just going to try to power through here. 40 minutes. But yeah, I think that will definitely help. Interesting. What happened here? It's almost like I spent my break popping Advils and lying on the floor. That didn't do much. All right, so let's get this fingernail, this quite a claw he's got here on both fingers. Let's see. Okay. So that's the tip of that fingernail. How about this one here? Oh, wow, that was weird. I flipped off the end of my tablet there. That's pretty cool, like how it's like a little blocky. I like the blockiness there. Let's find out if we can bring this is sort of an interesting way to solve this problem. So see this, like, well, let's get in there and do it better. Solve this by going like that, and then take this one and bring the surface of that brush stroke along the edge, and then finding where this little area scoops in. Let's try it, shall we? This will be fun. So, oh wait, no. Sorry. We gotta take this one. All right, I'm feeling a little more lively. How's that? Not good. Not great. But, you get the idea. It was going to be fun. It was supposed to be fun. Let's find out what's happening over here. Now once that one is, there's like this nice little ochre passage here. Not sure exactly where that ends and begins, but we certainly have our work cut out for us with this palette. Right, Bob? Let's get in here and deliver on these shadow edges while we have them. I think I'm going to have to start soon watching some streams. Ariandel, do you do live streams of your process ever? Because I'm curious to learn how to be more illustrative and less, I would like to be able to have that styles in my tool belt, so to speak. It's not really I'm not really gifted in that way. But it can't hurt to know how to do it, or at least try. I just forget. Do some streaming, but it's not consistent. Yeah. Well, I'll check it out and make sure I'm on the follow list. Because I just like to know, sort of best practices for, I don't know. I mean, you like teach yourself little things and tricks, and they might not be the most efficient way. And so seeing other people do things, you can really learn efficiencies. But the way I work is very little to do with tools. It's just basically one brush and hope it works. I'm feeling a little less headachy. Maybe that Tylenol is kicking in. But I view my drawings as a blank drawings. There's nothing really mine. I don't really know how to stylize my works or which way should I choose. I can't really explain that well. I see. So you mean your work, you view it as neutral. It's not like you're putting your own, you don't feel like it's like stylized in any way. I mean, to me, I see a stylization, certainly like from I don't know if that's what you mean, but the stylization I've seen of your work so far has been that kind of anime look. But are you talking more about like wanting to have like I don't know, something different? I better get this fingernail going here. That's a long fingernail. Gotta get this cuticle in here. I'm just seeing some artists and say, oh yeah, this one has some really rough style. I love it. But then there's another person with super clean things. Right. I see. So you mean you're sort of absorbing a lot from what you see out there. And it's hard to say this is what I want. Yeah, like I don't know. Look at this. Nice. Yeah, that's cool. That's got that energy. And the colors are awesome. It's got like it's like looks like it's done so quickly, like I don't know. Sometimes I want that in my work. I want for it to look fast. Wait, why did this happen? No, did I lose my... No. I need to get a hard drive for all this painting here, or all the... What are they called? Okay, so that reminds me to bring some energy back into my brush work here. Does making little noises help with that? I don't know. Probably not. Oh boy. Who knows? So I'm not loving the way that one is coming out, that fingernail. But here's where the... Yeah, I like that. I'm like staying here, and yeah, I can't decide which side I should choose. Gotcha. Well, yeah. I think the weird thing about that, I often have conversations with myself about this kind of thing, and I think the weird thing about it is that, like, I'll set out to purposefully be like, oh yeah, I want to have this sort of stylization, this kind of brushwork, and then it, like, things just like your own self gets in the way and basically decides for you what your style is. And it's kind of like, that's what I was sort of saying. Like, I don't like the way my brushwork looks. I want to improve upon it, but it's almost like you're cursed. To other people, it's kind of like, it's like hearing your own voice on a tape recording or something. It's like, do I really sound like that? And that's just your style. So you kind of, I guess, you work within that and just polish it, and polish it until it's the best it can be. And the flaws that you're seeing, or the things that you're not pleased with, might drop away over time. But all the way along, people are going to be like, oh, I love that. That's great. And you're just like, yeah, well, easy for you to, easy for the audience, the viewer. So anyway, good luck. I don't have an answer for it, but I do know that as try as I might to paint like John Singer Sargent, it never happens. I've tried. I've stared at books like that, and I've started paintings like, okay, each brush stroke is going to be like a chunky thing, and then I'm not going to soften it. And I just can't do it. I can't let myself leave things that way. And then you have a day like today where, for me, where I'm like, oh, I feel sick. But I don't want to take a break. I want to like keep going, and the product suffers a little bit in my mind because, I can't be on my game trying to perfect and polish. And then you're like, oh God, am I doomed to be a painter that paints this way? Like, the answer is somewhere. It's kind of a mixture of all these things. Okay. Speaking of mixtures, we got to get... It's funny, the medicine that I took, very helpful. Should have taken that earlier. Sort of got rid of the headache. Oh, you know what? I don't want to get hit by this. Yeah, this is like a mess. Like, not my favorite passage. The head was going good. I think I just sort of threw in the towel on the hand. It's not going to be my best, but I can always go back in. And that's what I'll do. So here, let's try and pick ourselves up by the bootstraps and go again. Something like that. There's going to be one that matches the color of the So using these mixing brushes is a total challenge for me. It's like I want the colors to mix, but they're not mixing. They're mixing too much. Too much mixing. Too many colors. How about this? But it's interesting that you, at 21, are able to identify these, you're not just like, oh, like I'm just doing this. You're like critically analyzing your own work, which is more than I can say for myself at that age. I think I was somewhat complacent, like I wasn't very ambitious with my painting. I was just kind of like, oh, well, I mean, because I didn't even know you could train to paint things that looked like this. Like when I found that out, I was like, wow, I'll just do whatever you say. Like, and studied. And I was kind of pleased with what I learned to do and didn't think much about my personal style or personal voice. I kind of just went along with what my teacher prescribed. You know, look at these painters and take it from there. So, you know, that's a pitfall of studying art, is that there's a likelihood that you might, you know, learn too much. I guess you can never learn too much, but if you have a closed mind about what art should be, it's hard to shake that. In fact, it took me a long time. That's what I'm doing right now, trying to shake the ghost of a wonderful teacher who had very almost dogmatic. I mean, I'd say closed-minded, maybe. Like there wasn't a lot of room for expression was like an indulgence, whereas nature and trying to paint and elevate nature with your paintings was kind of that was the lodestar kind of. Anyway, there were a lot of other things involved. Well, when I started my journey with art, I had great help from streamers. The first one was from Korea. Well, it was like a reality punch. I thought I was an art god at the start. Whatever I drew was bad and had 1,000 things for fixing, but he never refused to help me. And then I met another man from Greece. He helped me too, the same way. Neat. Yeah, it's funny. I had a musician. I play guitar and drums and stuff, and I met a guitar player from Croatia who, just like you're describing, it sort of like punched me in the face to learn, like, whoa, I thought I was great, but I wasn't. And it's interesting how that happens. When you're ready to be awakened. I've always faced my art as something bad with things to fix, and it stayed like that. You know? Yeah. I think a lot of artists would understand that. But a lot of other artists might say, no, like, don't waste your time with that kind of self-loathing stuff. But I'm with you. I'm like, yeah, I think this needs fixing. All right, let's try and plop in the brush here with a few more minutes. So this is probably going to be the same color as the background. I don't know. Let's get a dark here. Yeah, and it's also like like what you're saying. It's so interesting that when I was in art school, there were a lot of people at the art school, and a good handful of them were what I considered quote unquote better than me. And then there were a good handful who were like novices or just people who were, I don't know. They're all still around, so I don't want to be too judgmental. But just all levels of skill. And I think one of the things is if you're in a school, it may be sort of a small pond, and you're like, oh, I'm in the top 20, so that's all I really need to, and then you get back out into real world, so to speak, or maybe in your case you were talking about meeting streamers who may be incredibly skilled, and you have direct access to them now. And when I was in art school, I didn't have that. So I never really thought about that as what it would be like to be an artist just working on streaming. I mean, I have said, and I will say, that I believe having a one-on-one, like in-person, I guess it depends on what you're trying to accomplish, but certainly if you want to learn how to paint in a classical style, at least, which is what I believed I wanted to do and still believe, it's really helpful to have in-person instruction for a number of reasons. Okay. How about that bristle brush? We're going to do another 15 minutes. Wait a minute. Did I start at 1? Oh, no. Sorry. Yeah. I'm lost again. I was like, do we have another hour to go? I don't think I can handle that today. I remember seeing these little hands painted by the best hands painters in the history of art. If you have a chance to check them out, look at the hands painted by Anthony van Dyck, Flemish painter of portraits. The best. Talk about big fish in a small pond. I think he just sort of blew away the competition. And then he was hired by the King of England to be the court painter, and the rest is history. I don't think Van Dyck didn't, he started out, I don't know. I think as he got more famous and got more work, he started outsourcing a lot of it, I believe. So he'd paint like the hands, and he'd paint the head, and then the rest would kind of get sent down the conveyor belt, if you know what I mean. I kind of like that little calligraphy there on the... All right, so now let's finish this up. Like, find out what this is. Gosh, it helps so much to take a little medicinal break. How's that look? Not so good. See that, Arundel? I'm judging, and that's, I guess, what art is sometimes. Like looking at what you're doing and saying, I don't like that. Okay. What do we like? Let's keep going on this paintbrush here, the old 3-inch hog bristle. Plop, plop, plop. Now, look at the paint he's got down here in the ferrule. Lots of paint there. I've never painted with a brush like that, unless it was on my wall. But more power to you. And we'll take a little grab. Best thing about brushes like that is the cleaning. What do you mean? Like, cleaning them is fun? Or difficult? Are you being facetious? Like, I can't stand cleaning brushes. It's one of the reasons why I'm dreading going back into the studio. But I'll go. If you clean them like Bob did, yeah, it is. Oh, the beat the devil out of the brush. Tick it. Yeah. We were talking about that earlier. And trying to decide whether he was Christian or Scientologist. I mean, the joke was that maybe he's a Scientologist, but anyway, well, that was neither here nor there. Just playing around. It was really the medallion on his this little guy here. I was thinking it might be some kind of a cult symbol. Let's find it now that we're talking about it again. Okay, we'll try and make my special noises. I'm going a little too far with that. Let's find some golden hues here. You just sort of dip them in the I think what I'm what I didn't like was dipping them in the. He dips them in. Think, brain. He dipped them in like the whatever he called it, the turpentine. He was using the terps, right? Oh, jeez. He'd dip him in the terp, and then he'd just beat him. At the end of a day of painting, however, I have to clean each brush, and that's the kind of cleaning that I don't like. I'm very lazy about that stuff. Some people leave them in. Oh, you don't like turpentine smell? Interesting. So what do you use? Like a liquid or an odorless terp? I like the terp. My teacher, I believe, got basically chronic inflammation from using turpentine. It's not good for you after a while. I like the smell personally, but I know it's polarizing. I better get this little whatever animal this is, some kind of horned beast. To be fair, I don't do much traditional paint because it's expensive, but when I do, I often use hot water and soap. Yes, yeah, I use that's part of my problem is I use cold water and soap. I mean, what I'll do is I'll squeeze any excess paint out of the end of the brush and then just soap them and just do it over and over again. And I use cool water, maybe lukewarm if I'm in a real hurry. But the brushes are so expensive, I kind of like have to be careful. All right, let's see. That was sloppy. Gosh. Well, we're coming down to the wire here. I think we've done... I don't know. We've done something. It had to be done, right? See, my thinking was that I was going to like get all these sections done one after the other. Like I could do the palette in one day. But really I couldn't. I mean, I've got to like do this shoulder now, this shoulder. So, it's going to be a journey. But the good news is I don't feel as ill as I did during the lunch break. Boy. Let's use this. Oh, we already did that. Well, what am I going to do here? Squint. Find a color here. I'm going to have to come back to that hand, huh? All right. Well, I guess this is the part in my stream where I thank everybody for joining and being there while I muddle through. Mud being the operative word. And then I would ask, if you haven't done so, click follow or whatever platform you're watching on. Follow so you can see, you can know when I'm going to be streaming again. And then I think what I'm ultimately trying to do is have a schedule. So far I'm like seeming to stick to it, to my 9 to noon. But tomorrow is not going to be great because I'm only going to have a morning session. The afternoon is going to be cut off unless I can somehow go straight through. So I might have to start a little early tomorrow. But anyway, what I'm saying is I'm working on a schedule. I'm working on getting my reliable schedule in order. Look at this. I got to do this thumb. I've got to do this thumb. And thanks for the chat, too, everyone who chimed in and people who are lurking. All are welcome and most appreciated. I think that's going to do it for me for today. So, again, thank you. You're going to see more of this come into shape. I'm going to take fewer breaks tomorrow, I hope. And that'll be that. Anyway, thanks, guys, gals, team. Whoops. Oh, you got it. Thanks for checking in. And to better times. Good luck with everything there. Take care. And see you next time. Happy painting and God bless.